This conference will now be recorded.
Hey, everybody. This is Dr. Doug Smith. It is Wednesday at 1 o'clock, time for our Monday through Thursday 1 o'clock podcast. Thank you for tuning in. We're very excited about the information that we're presenting today. What we're going over today, this is very, very important for everybody. I want you to listen to this podcast, listen to it several times if you have to, because what we're going over today is the scientific evidence that has been used to label you as a drug addict, the scientific evidence that has been used to label you as an opioid addict, the scientific evidence that has been used to say that there is something called opioid addiction. And I want you to look very closely at the screen there in front of you, and you see there's two blue graphics, one on top and one on bottom. The one on top is actually the names of the people involved. These are the people who have basically conspired. I call it a conspiracy, conspired to label you as a drug addict. And they're from a group called ASAM, American Society of Addiction Medicine. They're overwhelmingly psychiatrists. And then look below there. There's the actual data that is being used to justify calling you a drug addict. Now, remember yesterday we talked about the dopamine theory of addiction, the brain disease model of addiction. That when opioids are when a person takes opioids, they get a surge in dopamine in their brain in the reward centers, and this surge in dopamine in the reward centers hijacks the brain, takes over the brain takes over the body, and now the person's just a drug addict doing everything they can to go out and get another hit of opioids and to feel that surge of dopamine. That's the dopamine theory of addiction, the brain disease model of addiction. That addiction is a brain disease. Okay. And if you're going to make a claim like that, you got to have scientific evidence. That's the way science works. That's the way medicine works. And so if you look real closely here, look real closely at that bottom graphic. And I want you to look at the very bottom of it. And I want you to look at the bottom until you find the year 1988. This science that they're using to label you as a drug addict is from 1988. And I hope every single one of you has a problem with that. The science that is being used to label you as a drug addict is from 1988. Wait a minute, 1988. Haven't there been any more recent studies done? Yes, and we'll go over that tomorrow. There are two very well studies done. However, they didn't give the results that the psychiatrists wanted. Okay, what in the data that they're showing you here, and you can see it on those four graphs. See the one on the bottom right is morphine, and you see a little surge in brain dopamine according to this study. Well, the other studies that were done, the more modern studies, the studies that used a better technique, okay, they didn't show any surge in brain dopamine. Okay, they refuted the model. They disproved the model. They do not support the concept of the dopamine theory of addiction, and that just blew their world. I mean, that blew up their world. Okay, they based everything on you having a surge in dopamine in your brain when you took an opioid, and to have evidence to the contrary, that just destroys their world. And all of a sudden, they wouldn't be the experts anymore, and they wouldn't be making all this money they're making now. So no, they're hanging on to the old 1988 data, even though it's been disproven. Why are they hanging on to the old 1988 data, even though it's been disproven? Because they need you to be an opioid addict so that they can remain the experts and they can continue to make the money and they can continue to have the prestige. And there's their names right there in front of you in that top graphic. Now, if you look at the very bottom there, okay, you'll by Dr. David Nutt that is calling these guys out, saying, "Hey, you can't do this. You don't get to pick and choose what studies you want to believe." Okay, and especially when the later, more well done studies refute the previous studies, you don't get to do that. That's not how science is done. And I put in a quote there by Dr. David Nutt that basically says, "Hey, you're in danger of running contrary to classic Popperian science. That's how we do science." In fact, let me read this quote, and I'm quoting Dr. David Nutt. And what he's talking about here is the fact of exactly what's on the screen. They're using the old data and ignoring the new data. And let me quote Dr. David Nutt. "There is a concern that the classic Popperian approach to science, namely refuting hypothesis, may be lost in the desire to publish papers that apparently prove the theory and are consequently well cited, but often not replicated." Now, Dr. David Nutt is being very polite here, okay, but basically he's calling out his colleagues and saying, hey, what you're doing is not the right thing to do. Okay, so this is very, very important stuff, and I want to go over this in great detail. So before we leave today, make sure you understand that the scientific evidence that has been used to label you, to diagnose you with opioid addiction, opioid use disorder, two things about it. Number one, it's from 1988. Okay, number one, it's from 1988. Number two, it's been disproven. Now, please come back tomorrow and listen to this podcast. I want you to hear the data that disproves the dopamine theory of addiction, the brain disease model of addiction. It's been disproven, people. Don't believe me? Come back tomorrow. It's been disproven. There is no scientific evidence that you are a drug addict. Let me say that again. There is no scientific evidence that you are an opioid addict. Let me say that one last time. There is no scientific evidence to support the concept that you are an opioid addict. Okay, it's a house of cards. Okay, it's built on sand. Okay, it's a fairy tale. In my opinion, it's a conspiracy. Let's hold here for today. We'll see you back tomorrow. And as always, please like and subscribe to us. Place this podcast on your social media, everybody else's social media, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Thank you.